Hello everyone. Welcome to the School of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Systems, University College Dublin. My name is Professor Fiona Timmins, and as Dean and Head of the school, it is my great pleasure to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to each and every one of you. Firstly, I would like to congratulate you on achieving this success. I know that it has taken years of hard work and dedication to achieve this ultimate goal of accessing university education, and you should be exceptionally proud of your achievement. You are now part of an exceptional community that is dedicated to excellence in education, research and practice in the fields of nursing, midwifery, mental health and health systems. Starting this new chapter of your academic journey and career journey is an exciting milestone, and I want you to know that you have chosen a path that is not only noble but also deeply impactful. The next few years will be transformative, filled with opportunities to learn, grow and make a difference in the lives of individuals and communities. Our school is committed to providing you with the knowledge, skills and experiences that will empower you to become future leaders in healthcare. At the UCD School of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Systems, we pride ourselves on our mission to advance health and well-being through excellence in education, research and service. Our vision is to be a global leader in shaping the future of healthcare. And as you embark on this journey with us, you will be guided by our dedicated faculty and professional staff who are not only experts in their fields, but also passionate about mentoring and supporting you. Our school is a place where innovation and compassion go hand in hand. We are continuously pushing the boundaries of what is possible in healthcare through cutting-edge research and collaboration with our partners, both locally and globally. You will have the opportunity to engage in groundbreaking research, gain hands-on experience in practice settings, and develop a holistic understanding of health and well-being. We are incredibly proud of the diverse and inclusive community that we have built here at UCD. You will meet peers from different backgrounds and cultures, each bringing their unique perspectives and experiences. This diversity enriches our learning environment and prepares you to provide culturally competent and compassionate care to the diverse populations that you will serve in your professional careers. I encourage you to make the most of every opportunity that comes your way. Participate actively in your classes, seek out mentorship and guidance, get involved in student organisations, and take advantage of the resources and support services available to you here at UCD. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. We are here to support you every step of the way. And as you start this exciting new chapter, I want to remind you that the work that you will do as nurses, midwives, mental health professionals within the health systems is vital. You have chosen a profession that is centred on caring for others, advocating for their needs, and making a positive impact on their lives. Your dedication and compassion will be the cornerstone of your success, and I have no doubt that you will rise to this challenge and make us proud. We are delighted that you have chosen to study here at UCD and look forward to supporting you on this journey. Together, let's make a difference in the world of healthcare.
My name is Dr. Anne Donoghue, and I'm the Associate Dean for Thought Graduate Studies here in the UCD School of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Systems. And on behalf of the academic staff and the administrative staff, I'm truly honoured to welcome you all, each and every one of you, to our orientation day this morning. Now, some of you have studied with us before, so it's a welcome back to some of you. and others, it will be your first time studying with us. So we're delighted that you're joining the UCD family. So my talk this morning will be relatively brief, and I'm just going to provide an overview of UCD and an overview of the UCD School of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Systems, and just focuses a little bit on what today is all about and what we can expect to get out of this morning's session. So if you just bear with me, I'm just going to share my screen. Okay. Right. And hopefully everybody is able to see that now. Hopefully it's sharing. Okay, right. Okay, so as I say, today is really about a fáilte, just a welcome to UCD. And as you may know, UCD opened on the 3rd of November in 1854, and that was led by Cardinal John Henry Newman. And you'll hear this name from time to time as you progress through your studies. And that was over 170 years ago. There were 17 students registered on that day. And if you compare that with today, where we have 38,000 students from 152 countries. UCD consists of 6 colleges, 37 associated schools, and multiple research institutes and centres. So it's a high-ranking global university. And now you're part of that. You're part of that UCD family, as we say. It's important to get a sense of where UCD actually came from, and it's hard for us to conceptualize what a post-famine Ireland looked like. And in the spirit of a picture paints 1,000 words, if we look at the picture on the bottom left of our screen here, that's an image that depicts your typical Irish village at the time, racked with poverty, disease, and very destitute environment. If we look to the top right hand side, there's an image there from around the 1870s. Now UCD was in existence for about 20 years at this stage, but Ireland was at a stage where it was experiencing mass immigration. It was really the emigrantship was the reality for most people. Entire families, as you know, emigrated, never to return again. And if we look at the picture, the photograph on the top left-hand side, that was taken in Donegal. It's a typical Irish homestead, and it's taken in the early 1900s. And again, that's the kind of mercurial backdrop that UCD was actually developed for. And it was that kind of backdrop that it existed in. And if you look at Newman's wording at the time, and there's a quote then that is often attributed to him, he said, "I'm turning my eyes towards 100 years to come, and I dimly see the island. The capital of that prosperous and hopeful land is situated in a beautiful bay, and in it I see a flourishing university, which for a while had to struggle, but when its founders were dead and gone, had successes far exceeding their anxieties." And for everybody on this webinar today, be you a student, be you an academic, be you part of the administrative team, AV, etc., 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 you're part of that success that has far exceeded the anxieties of our founders. So that's the backdrop against which UCD was developed. If we move on then through the ages, UCD had a variety of locations. You see the Newman building is in Stephen's Green in town. On the bottom left, it then moved to Earlsford Terrace, and Earlsford Terrace was built in 1914, and that's a photograph of its external building at the time. And then on the top left-hand side, UCD moved out to Belfield in 1960s, in the early 1960s, and that's a photograph of the Science Centre, which is just opposite us here in the School of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Systems. It's currently being refurbed, but it was state of the art at the time. But this is the campus that you're actually joining. This is your UCD campus, and as Professor Timmins has said, please enjoy it, please join societies, please join whatever you can, become part of the UCD family. The UCD campus is the place where we embrace equality, we embrace diversity, we embrace inclusion. But we also want to foster this sense of belonging, that you feel part of UCD. As I say, some of you are returning to us. Some of you, it's your first time experiencing education in UCD. But we very much want you to feel part of that high-ranking global university. And the UCD School of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Systems is in the middle, right in the middle of that flourishing university that Newman referred to. It's the largest and oldest school of nursing in the country. Our academic faculty and our research faculty are world renowned and world known. We have the largest thought graduate offering in the country, and I'm sure you can see that from our website. And we have state-of-the-art learning facilities. Our building here on the Belfield campus was built in the early 2000s. We have state-of-the-art library facilities, AV, etc., etc., etc. And it really is a lovely place to study and a lovely place to be part of. In terms of our mission, our vision and aim, our mission is to support the ongoing professional development of nursing and midwifery professions in Ireland and globally, and to support excellence in health systems operations and research. Our vision is to lead education, research and professional practice to improve healthcare. But our aim, which I think is the most important part of this, our aim is to foster and support the optimum health and well-being of all people throughout the lifespan. And you will play a pivotal role in that through your professional and educational development. We cannot do any of this without help from our clinical partners, and our clinical partners are integral to our success here. And we're naming the majority of our partners here. Some we may have omitted from this, but St. Vincent's Hospital, the National Maternity Hospital, Our Lady's Hospice and Care Services, Harold's Cross, the Mater Hospital, Children's Health Ireland at Crumlin, Children's Health Ireland at Temple Street, St. John of God's, Mater Lean Academy, and of course our Health Service Executive. And our public health nursing students who are on our webinar today will be placed in healthcare centres right across the country. So again, looking back through the archives and looking at Newman's, one of his first talks to those 17 students, he entitled it, "What Are We Here For?" So to honour that legacy of Newman today, we've used that title again for our presentation today. What are we here for? Well, today, quite simply, is about introducing you to your programme director, administrator and fellow students. Now, you may have already met them. Your administrator is a key person and they have an invaluable set of resources and information to help get you started. Your programme director will bring you down through your programme, what you need to know, assessments, etc., etc. And obviously your fellow students. It's really important that we learn with one another and from one another. We'll also introduce you to UCD and its various support and advisory systems and services. And Emily outlined those to you this morning. The talks that we're going to have this morning will be pivotal to you understanding the library system, the writing centres, etc., etc., etc. And we also will provide information and guidance on specific aspects of your programme. Now, different programmes operate in different ways, but the programme director will lead you through that. So the next 2 to 3 weeks are really important in getting embedded properly into the programme, knowing how to use the VLE system, knowing how to use the library system, knowing what the assessment process is, etc., etc. So as I say, the first couple of weeks are really, really important to starting successfully here at UCD. If you require any additional information, now you'll be getting a lot of information from us today and in the subsequent weeks, but always look at our web pages, look at our school web page there, and also we have a web page just dedicated to our graduate programs alone. And our final thoughts and our final words we will leave with Aristotle, who is reputed to have said, "The roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet." And we share this with students because an educational journey, particularly in the graduate space, will challenge you. It may challenge you professionally. It may challenge you academically. It may challenge you personally. Okay, but always know that there is help at hand, and don't be afraid to ask for that help, to approach either your student advisor, your programme director, your administrator, a trusted colleague. There is always help and support there. But always to remember that graduation is just around the corner. And this photograph I like particularly because it's of our students in June of this year, celebrating on the UCD campus just after graduation. So thank you all for being with us this morning. I hope you find our information session beneficial, and I'd now like to hand you back to Emily. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry. Welcome to UCD School of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Systems. I hope your educational journey will be smooth, and I'm sure you will be very successful. It's already successful that you are with us at the postgraduate school. I'm sharing my screen, which I hope everybody should be able to see now. I'll just, so this is basically a very kind of general and a brief introduction to the registration system, enrollment. I know at this time, at the start, especially new students, you have maybe some difficulty in navigating the system, and we are here to help you throughout that. So program enrollment and registration. All of you, I think by now should have a UCD student number, and that will be your login to log into UCD SIS Web and UCD Connect. From now on, the communication with UCD will be with your UCD account, not the personal emails for the duration of the program. So it's very important that you have your student number, and usually to start, these are some steps. You need to log in via the SIS Web, which you can do from the UCD website, using your 8-digit student number, and the password would be your 6-digit date of birth, day, month, year, unless if you had changed it. If there are any issues with that, do come to us. The first step you would need to do is you accept UCD terms and conditions, and you follow the steps. Click my registration, and you continue, confirm, and that would be the first thing you do before you can access modules or Brightspace or any of the platforms. Once you accept and confirm your registration, you will be able to enroll for your own program, and we look something like this. And then it's click next, basically, to enroll. You get to the modules. Now, a lot of our graduate programs are pre-selected modules. Some have options where maybe there is some prior learning at the CPD level. But most programs, those modules will be selected for you. So, or you could just select them yourself, all 6 if you are on the full-time, or 2 for the part-time graduate diploma, and then you will be doing the 4 the following year. So that is the next thing you would need to do. So this is just an idea how you can register to your correct modules. As I said, it was mostly pre-selected for you at the graduate diploma level. And just about the timetable, you can, at this stage, once the modules, and you are at this stage, you will be able to see the timetable, view your own timetable for your program. This is just the correct way to do it. Just an example of what it should look like. Fees. We get a lot of queries about fees at this time of year, and I think a lot of students are sponsored, and this is where you need to make sure with the hospital or the funding body that this is already through the system. Basically, if your program is being paid by the hospital or sponsor, the details will be done between the two, the funding body and the UCD's fees office. The school is not much involved in the fees. Of course, we can help if you have any queries, But basically, the first line point of contact is the funding body to make sure that they have sent your details to the fees office, and they will set you up as a funded student. Once this is done, you can access a fee statement. You can download that from your SIS web or from your own UCD account. Again, if you have any fees queries, particular fees queries, you can come to us. However, it is mostly the student desk. They take the fees queries. They don't have a direct line to email the fees. But the most issue that we get at this time as well is sometimes the fee rate that is that you might find yourself on. It might be double what you are funded for or what you expected. And that is because it is being picked up as a non-EU fee. Usually the system initially picks up on the nationality or the place of birth. However, this can be done, can be fixed. And basically, students who have been working here in Ireland or the EU for 3 years and above can apply, and they qualify for EU fees. However, this is not automatic, as I said, because of the system picking up on the nationality first. And therefore, you need to go through this link for an EU fee assessment. You need to complete some details, and you can attach maybe P60s. They ask you for some documents which you have to attach to that, and then they set you on the correct EU fee rate. And okay, next is just some policies. Obviously, there is a link for all the academic policies. However, I thought maybe the main things that students might come across, you might come across during your study and of your program, is mostly sometimes extenuating circumstances, leave of absence, withdrawal requests, and there are policies around these requests. In the case of extenuating circumstances, if some student finds themselves in a situation where, for personal or other reasons, cannot do the module or cannot sit the exam or miss the exam or assignment, you need to contact, first of all, the module coordinator and the program director, and to be in touch with them at the first instance and see how this can be dealt with. And if you are advised by them, the module coordinator and program director, to apply for extenuating circumstances, this can be done on the system, and my next slide will show. Leave of absence withdrawal as well. Some students find that for some reason they cannot continue for a period of time. You can apply for leave of absence. However, this cannot be done the first semester or trimester of your studies. It should be at least halfway of the first part of your studies, and then you can apply as well. Some students cannot continue, and also there is an application for withdrawal. And all these applications are made again from your SIS web under Program Services tab. So it's always your UCD account where you need to start. Just this is an image of where you can see under the Program Services for application of extenuating circumstances through your SIS web. For extenuating circumstances, leave of absence withdrawals, also, it is advisable maybe to speak with a student advisor who is the college advisor, and the School of Nursing is under that. So I thought maybe just to highlight that we have this support for students. So the role of the student advisor is to provide support for students by providing advice and information in relation to social, personal, practical issues. Where necessary, refer to more specialized advice. and sometimes even or even to the administrative staff or for professional support as well. And Anna Scully is our college student advisor, and her details you can, I hope you won't need, but just to let you know that we have this support as well available. The recognition of prior learning. So maybe I just point out quickly that sometimes students may have completed a level 9 module that is equivalent to a module on your diploma, graduate diploma, and you can apply for that as well. And this should be done before the third week of the trimester in which the module is offered. This application has to be obviously reviewed by the module coordinator and program director. And as you can see on my third point here is the link to the policies and regulations around that. And you can find it under Explore UCD to go to the link and read if this is applicable to the module. And then you can maybe next talk to the program director or one of us, and the program administrator, about how to apply, or if you need any assistance with that or advice, academic advice with the program director. And again, this is how it should look like, where you can apply for recognition of prior learning. The U card, this would be your UCD student card. And when you confirm registration at that stage, in your UCD web, SIS web, in your own account, you can upload a photo. And then this would enable you to have a U card. It is useful. The student U card basically is the official UCD student card and is multifunctional. You can use it to, for example, scan or photocopy material, print material. You top it up just like any card, and you can use it in numerous services on campus as well. The cards can be collected from the U-Card Bureau, which is in the Newman building. And you can email them at ucard@ucd.ie. The opening times 10 to 4. And this is, if you look at the Belfield campus, we are here, the health sciences, and the Newman building is across by the fountain, across just. And also the map is available under Explore UCD for you to download and find the building in the JK section of the Newman building. I thought this might be important just to let you know that upon your completion of your program, you will lose access to your UCD Connect email. So from this point until you finish the program, all communication will be through your UCD Connect. However, once you finish, you log in again and update your profile with your personal email address, because now the UCD email overrides the personal email. But you need to revert that. And it's important you do that, because that's where the communication, for example, from the conferring unit, from the transcripts, all of that will be from this personal email address at the end. And again, this is under in the SIS web, under your registration fees and assessment, you will find where you can update your student record. Contacting us, I thought let you have, I'm sure you have been in touch with many of us here, the administrator for your program will be a first point of contact. There's also the general inquiries address the form that you can contact us through it as well. For most of the program-related queries. In addition to that, I just put in here some sports useful links. Sometimes there are more support services that you can tap into under this link here. The student tasks is amazing. They have a chat bot, and it's very user-friendly, and certain things like fees and technical issues as well. And I thought maybe this one here, UCD IT services, our service students, it would be for the technical issues with Brightspace or any issues that you might encounter. Also would be your point of contact. So thank you very much for listening, and wish you a very successful educational journey with us in UCD. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. Apologies for my green face, but it's very, very dark where I am this morning with lots and lots of rain. So I might just turn my camera off anyway, because I'm going to be walking you through Brightspace. But before I get going with that, I just thought there's been a couple of mentions there of SysWeb, which is the Student Information System, and UCD Connect. So what I'd like to do is just give you a look at what UCD Connect looks like, in case you haven't actually seen Connect. So if you just bear with me, I'm going to share my screen here and show you what Connect looks like. So when you log in, Asmahan went through, she explained your user number is your username is your 8-digit registration number, and your password is your date of birth, day, month, year. And if you're not sure how to find UCD Connect on, just to start out, just put UCD space Connect into Google and it will pop up and it will bring you to a login page, and you log in. And what I'm showing you here is all the applications that are available to you as students now when you have completed registration. And you can see here that there's Gmail for students. So again, Asmahan emphasized the importance of understanding and using your UCD Gmail account for all correspondence. So you need to log in and you need to access this account very, very regularly, because it is the primary mode of communication from faculty and administrative staff in the school. You'll see this B for Brightspace, very straightforward. There's Google Drive, which is an online storage space for your files. It's very safe and you can share files from it and so forth. There's Google Calendar, which is very useful. Password self-service is where you can go in and you can change your number if you don't want to leave it at the default. So just to know that that's there. There's the link to SysWeb, which again, Asmahan referenced. Just one or two other things that I think it's useful to know. Every student in UCD is registered with a Pro Zoom license, which means there's no limitations on how long you can be online on it. It means that your recordings are retained and so forth. And this is also the online classroom that we use for our online classes here in the school and in the university. So it's good to know that that's where Zoom is. You can also access Zoom from directly in Brightspace, and I'll show you that shortly. One other thing I think that's very good for our students is that every student also has access to Office 365. And you can go in on, as I say, the UCD Connect Student Applications portal. We don't have time to go in and look at it today. And you have access to this for the duration of your studies here in the school. And it's great to have. There are lots of other things there that I would say just concentrate on the ones that you feel that you need to use straight away. So I'm just going to get rid of that. So for now, I'm going to focus mainly on Brightspace. And I'm logged in here as a student, so I'm actually showing it to you as Brightspace will appear when you are fully registered. If you go into Brightspace, you will land on this page here. And this is called the home page, which hopefully will load. And on your homepage, you see the modules here that you are registered for. This is just a demo site that I use for testing. And at the moment, I can only, if you think that you should have more modules there than are appearing, the best person to contact for that is the administrative staff. Myself and my colleague, Aoife McCormick, we work here in the school supporting faculty and students in using Brightspace, but we're not able to enroll people in modules. So sometimes people write to us when actually the best people to speak to are the admin staff, and it's usually something to do just with completing registration. So the homepage for Brightspace, as I say, this is called the landing page. And I'm sure you all know now that the taught graduate programs in our school are primarily delivered in blended format. And what that means is that for some weeks you will come to campus, you will have face-to-face lectures. Some weeks you will have live online classes using Zoom. And some weeks you will have self-directed online learning activities. And it really depends on each individual module coordinator what the mix is. But so you just need to sort of be able to accommodate sometimes the differences between how different modules are run. In Brightspace, as I say, you have the UCD crest in the upper left of the screen. If you click on that, it will always bring you back to the landing page where all your modules are listed. You can also click on this keypad icon and the modules pop down. I should say this is very similar to other learning management systems that you may have used, like Moodle or Canvas or probably Blackboard maybe in the past. There are a couple little icons up here. The one that I think is probably most useful for you to notice is this little bell. And if you see, there's a little orange dot on it. And what this is, it's an update alert. And if I click on this, it's giving me an advice that my instructor has released feedback on my assignment that I submitted. It's also telling me that other content has been created. So if you log in and you just see those little, you see that little orange dot on your bell, click on it just to see what's showing down. And just to be aware that those are general announcements. So sometimes you'll see a little orange dot and you'll click on it and it'll tell you that your assignment is due and you may have already submitted. Don't worry, it doesn't mean that the system hasn't recognized your submission. It's just a general announcement for everyone in the module. And even if everyone had submitted by the due date, that little announcement would still pop up. There's a little widget here to show all announcements in the module. And what announcements are, they're used by faculty to communicate maybe just-in-time messages. So say, for example, maybe you were all coming to campus next Monday on the 9th of September, and a faculty member might need to sort of send an announcement in a module to ask you to bring along something in particular or maybe to move to a different room. So they might post an announcement there. So the announcements tool is used quite regularly. So it's a good idea to have a look at that. There are a couple of other widgets. These are called widgets on your home page. We don't have enough time here this morning to go through all of them, but you can explore them in your own time because everywhere you see this little gray downward arrow, that means that you can pop it on it and it will either collapse a widget or it will expand it. So you see, I'm just getting little menus there that I can click on. So a little press for time here as I have to be finished by 10, so I'm just going to run into. So to go into a module, all you do is click on the name of the module. And the name will be NMHS 40 whatever and the number at the top of the screen here. The modules will always display like this. There is a calendar in Brightspace that is not linked to Google Calendar, so they're two entirely separate things. There's always this widget on the home page, which is the evaluation feedback that you provide to module coordinators at the end of the trimester. And down the page here is the module descriptor. And this gives you details of, well, I'm currently seeing all the modules in the whole university, but you will see your modules down here. And if you click on that, you can go in and you can see things like, what will I learn? How will I learn? What are the learning outcomes? What are the assessments? So that's actually pulling stuff in from the curriculum management system. Again, up here, it's telling me that I have an assignment. I'm logged in as a student. I have an assignment with unread feedback and that there's a quiz that I haven't attempted. Don't get stressed by these messages. As I say, they're standardized messages in every module in Brightspace. So you just kind of need to understand what they are rather than feeling that they're putting pressure on you. This bar here at the top of the page is very important. This is called I always describe it as the navigation bar or nav bar, because as you can see, there's a number of text options up here, and these are all just links. So when I click on them, it will bring up discussions, okay? If I click on my class, it brings up a number of options. I can look at all the other students who are listed in my class. This is also where you find your virtual classroom. So this is where, if you know that you have an online class next Monday on the 9th of September, you're aware that it's online via Zoom. You go into the module and then you can click on the drop-down menu, virtual classroom. There's a direct link into the library, which is brilliant. Dermot will be along later, so I won't go into that, but you can go in straight away to look at all the various guides they have for students and also to find a resource. But this one over here, this link over here is hugely important, My Learning. So if I click on it, what I'm going to do is bring you into the space where you have your content, your learning materials. It's where you submit your assessments in Brightspace, and generally knowing how to navigate this particular menu is, it's very straightforward, very intuitive, I think. But there is one little quirk this year, which I'll talk to you about just after I go through the menu. I am aware that we have over 300 people online, and we shouldn't assume that every student is fully up to speed with Zoom or Brightspace. So most of the graduate modules will have this, and because some of you will be new to UCD, some of you will be coming back maybe after quite a few years, and the systems might have changed. A lot of your graduate modules will have this little page, and if you notice here, the arrow is facing to the right, but if I just click on it, it pops down and I get my whole menu here. And what we have is a number of resources to try and we're aware that we're giving you a lot of information this morning, that you can go back in and look at this in your own time. So there's a video introduction to Brightspace, which will take you through a lot of what I'm doing. It's only about 2 minutes long. How do I get started with my UCD email? That really is important. Have a look at that one. There's a Welcome to UCD Student IT Guide that takes you into IT Services Student Support page. The IT Support Hub is if you have any kind of tech problem, you can actually log a call there with the support team. And then, as I said, we shouldn't assume everybody's totally comfortable with Zoom. So we've put together a guide for Zoom. And again, there's a nice video there explaining to you all about UCD Library. So this little folder, is for want of a better word here to call it, is usually at the top of the menu. And as you can see, the way that you navigate is always by the menu. This is just the name of the folder here. And I can see lots of questions and things going on in the Q&A. I hope there's nothing for Brightspace. If you do have anything for Brightspace, please put it in there and I'll come back to you later. So again, we're just going to go through the menu here. As I said, this is a video introduction. If I click on this particular item, it will show up like this, and I can just play the video there. So I'm just going to mute that. So I can just play the video there. If I want to go to the next item, it says, oh, this is a link. So it's asking me to open the link, and it takes me directly into the IT services support for students. How do I get started with my email? If I want to go back to Brightspace, I just close the tab. And again, you'll get used to this in your own time. You can see the icons give you an idea of what they are. So this is a printable PDF. So again, UCD student Zoom guide, and you can actually download it. There's a little download icon there in the upper right-hand corner. So navigation, and as I say, moving back and forward in this particular view of Brightspace is always via the menu. Module information, faculty will usually put up a document, something like this, where they'll have, this is an old one from a few years ago. It's very small there. So if I want to make it bigger, I just pop it up onto the screen like that. And you can see module orientation, we're doing this. Week 1 is online. There's a pre-recorded lecture. So again, it's just to give you an idea. And if I want to go back to the small screen, I just click exit full screen. This here is a useful little guide. I mentioned announcements earlier on, and announcements do not automatically get sent to you by email, but you can change that by using the little profile or the little notification setting up here. And what that means is that if you say, for example, if a member of faculty puts up an announcement, you can make a change in your settings to ask for that announcement to be sent to you via email. So we keep saying this, your UCD Gmail account, your UCD Connect student account is super important to get that set up and to be regularly checking it. And you can then pop all notifications. So if there's any change or anything that they just want to let you know, you'll get it in your email. So as I say, this is just a file. Again, it's a PDF, and you can print it out and change that and change your settings there. Some modules use this ask a question, which is where you can go in and ask a question about the module. You know, say you have a query about something that came up in one of your lectures and you're not quite sure about it, or you'd like some clarification on a point. So it will be on the menu, and basically, how do I ask a question? It tells you there in the description. Click on this little button here, and up pops this, and then it's start a new thread. And that just is essentially, you put a title in the box, and then, oops, that's a misspelling. And then you can put your question in here. And then there isn't, you click on post. And what that means is when you post it, that means that all of the other students in the module and your module coordinator can see the question that you've posted. And this saves everybody a lot of time and effort rather than sending individual emails, because if you have that question, it's likely lots of other people have that question. So it's great and also what's brilliant is that sometimes other people in your class group will have the answer to the question and they post in the threads. And that's been really, really helpful for many years since we've moved to the blended format. So if the ask a question function has been added to your module, definitely please use it. So how do I get back to my menu? You just go back to My Learning here on the top of the screen. And generally then the module is listed here. You have, say, I've just got a sample week where there's a pre-recorded lecture. It may be a link or it may be something else. Faculty will normally put up either a transcript or their lecture slides. If you have a live class, faculty usually post a recording of that class by adding a link in like this, and you may require a password. So again, it really depends. Different people do it different ways, and they will explain that to you the first day that you meet. Sometimes you will find that people add in self-check quizzes, and these are essentially for you to understand how you're getting on with that week's content. So as you can see, this is an ungraded formative quiz, which just means it's just for you. You can do the quiz loads of times. How do I do it? I just click on Start Quiz and it asks me to start it again. And this is the way all MCQ type quizzes work in Brightspace. So again, you just go in and you just pick out all the answers, and obviously you'll take far more time than me to answer these questions. And you then submit your quiz and see how you get on, and it immediately tells you whether you got it right or whether you got it wrong, and it gives you feedback. So again, it's just to give you an idea of how these work. And if I want to get back to my Brightspace, I just go close that tab. So that's generally how a week will be laid out. As I say, different faculty lay their modules out. Some people organize the content by theme or by blocks of weeks rather than 1 weeks. So it may look a little bit different, but it's just to understand that the content will be inside a folder looking like this. So a lot of people are very keen to know about their assignments the first day of term, but what I'm showing you here is how to submit your assignments in Brightspace. And there should be a folder on your menu which will say assessment information. A lot of the modules will have this little folder with assessment resources, and different people add in different resources for students. So again, Asmahan took you to the school website, the library, referencing guidelines, all that kind of thing. And normally people will lay out their module that you have 1 or 2 assignments. How do I find my assignment? I pop down, this is, and I want to see my instructions. So I click on this, and your assignment instructions will look something like this. And obviously you will have a discussion with your coordinator about it. The next thing that you'll see is, actually, I'm going to show you assignment 2 here. So I've looked at my assignment instructions. Yes, that tells me what's here. So the next thing that I should see is this, what we call the Academic Integrity Acknowledgement and Agreement. And in the SNMHS, or in our school here, we ask all students to complete this statement before they make a submission. It's a very straightforward wording. And all you have to do, and you won't be able to submit your assignment, you won't see the link to submit your assignment until you mark this as complete. So basically what you're saying when you mark it as complete, I've read all these 1 to 5 statements, I understand what they mean. And when you click on mark as complete, you will then see the link to submit your assignment. And your assignment will, you can see here, I haven't submitted my assignment 2. The due date for my assignment is the 2nd of December at 3 o'clock. The instructions about what you're meant to do are here. And it pops, and you just pop down, wherever you see a little pop down, just click on it. And if you want to add a file, you can click to browse, drag and upload it, and click on submit. So again, there's a wee bit more information, but you can have a look at that. This is pretty much the standard, how most people do it in the school. If you have any questions about submitting your assignments, talk to your module coordinator. So the key thing to remember is that there is a link up here called Assessment and Assignments. And if you haven't completed this academic integrity acknowledgement and agreement for your assignment, you won't actually see the submission link for your assignment documents. And also just to point out, and you can see here, I'll just show you that in a minute, this little icon here means that the assignment document has been submitted to the university's originality checker, which is Turnitin. So as a student, I've done an example here where I submitted a file and I've received my grade, and I want to see what the faculty member said to me. And all I have to do is click on my feedback here. And hopefully this will pop up for me. So you can see here that my score, my grade is here, and the feedback is there. So as a student, when you get your, when the module coordinator lets you know that you've made your, that the assignments have been graded and the feedback's available, you just go to Assessment Assignments and you will see completion status. You can see that I've submitted 1 file here and that I have now read my feedback. I do appreciate that this is super quick, but it's pretty standard in all of the modules, so it'll be like you'll pick it up with no bother. So there's just one little difference in Brightspace this year. The university is transitioning from what they call the classic experience into the new content experience. And all this means is that some modules will have the classic interface and some will have the new content experience interface. And at the moment here, we're looking at the new content experience. So if you just bear with me, I'm going to change this interface so you can see what the old interface looks like. So if I go in here, it doesn't mean everything will look the same. The content is all the same. It just looks a little bit different. So I'm going to go back in here. So as you can see here now, I've gone into what's called the classic experience. The menu is still on the left side of the page. The navigation bar is still at the top of the page. All of the content is still the same. There is absolutely no difference to the content that you're being given, the links, all of the supports. It's just how you move about in the system that's a little bit different. And at the moment, there's a bit of a mix. Some faculty are using what we call this is the classic experience, and some are using the new content experience. And it's a bit like, I suppose sometimes I go into Netflix and I have been online for ages and they've moved a few menus around and it just takes you a couple of minutes. But it's all the exact same. So you can see here the module information. I have my module overview. I have my guide to getting announcements, the assessment information. You can see here, there's my assignment 1 instructions. So it's a little bit, takes a little bit of getting used to, but it should be okay. So it's now 10 o'clock, so my time is up. I hope that this has been helpful to you. I do appreciate it's a lot of information, but as I say, we do have this support folder with all this information in you. Feel free to contact me if you have any issues with navigation in Brightspace or you're just not sure about how to upload something. Please do this in the first couple of weeks. It'll save you a lot of time and stress. And if I'm not around, my colleague Aoife is always around. So I would like to wish you all the very, very best of luck. The school is a great place and it's very enjoyable. The faculty are amazing. And I look forward to seeing you all throughout the trimesters. Take care, everyone. Thanks a million. Back to you, Emily.
Good morning, everybody. You're fine with my name. I've seen so many different pronunciations of it, but it's very close. So my name is Željka Doljanin, and I will be talking to you a little bit about the Writing Center. Today, I basically just want to explain what Writing Center is and how we can help you during your studies here. So I'm just going to share my slides. I hope everybody can see my slides now. So if you can see my slides, you will see that we open on September the 23rd. This is when the Writing Center usually opens. In every semester, we open in week 3 because by that time, students are slowly getting their assignments in and they're getting some assignments questions and they may be ready to actually start thinking about writing. So just, what is it that we do in the Writing Center? I mean, it's a free service for all UCD students, so you're all very welcome to come and drop into us or make appointments with us at any point during the term. We really want to help the students to communicate their knowledge in the written format, because this is something that's not easy, and it's something that you get better at the more you do it. So, sometimes it's much easier to explain to somebody something you have been reading about, or something you have been learning by speaking. But once you have to put it all down in the written format and you're going to be graded, it becomes a little bit more difficult. And also we really want to help students to become more confident, independent writers themselves. So when they come to us in the Writing Center, we want to show them how we would read your work, how we would read your introduction, for example. What are we getting from it? Do we understand it? What is not working for us? What could be structured a little bit better? Maybe what could be a little bit clearer? Maybe we can spot that you're not emphasizing something as much as you should be, or that something should come up in the front and be much more pronounced than as it is. Something could be phrased better. So really, I think in Writing Center, the tutors that work in the Writing Center can function as your first readers. As you're writing, you can bring your stuff to us and say, how would you read it? Could you take a look at this for me and see, am I being logical? Am I being coherent? Am I being clear in what I'm trying to say? And very often I can tell you when the students come to, and actually most often when they come to us in the Writing Center and they sit with a tutor and we ask them about their work and what are you trying to say in this assignment, for example, and they tell us, it is so clear to us. And then when we read what they have written, it's quite different often to what they've been telling us. By speaking to us, they're extremely clear in what they want to say, what they're arguing, what kind of evidence they have for what they're saying. But in writing, it can be unclear. So we are helping with that. And if you're wondering why is there a need to have a Writing Center in the first place? I certainly wish it existed when I was doing my studies. First of all, students are assessed on the basis of their written work. So there will be a lot of writing. And this is how the lecturers can see what you have learned and how you understand your material. Often we see a gap between the amount of research that students have done and the knowledge they have and the effort they're putting into their assignments and the finished assignment. And sometimes it's really not a reflection of their real knowledge. Very often it's because they didn't get the structure right, so the students are struggling a little bit to put everything they know into the written assignment. And you may have, 1,500 words, 2,000 words, 3,000 words limit. And they're struggling with structure a little bit. So this is, I think, where we are most helpful with the structure of assignments. Also, academic writing really is a skill. It can be learned. It is pretty formulaic. Once you get used to writing these sorts of assignments, you will get much better at it. And it is not something that you either have or don't have. It's very much a skill that can be learned. And like Orla was saying about Brightspace, it's the same with academic writing. You will pick it up as you go. You're not expected to have all this knowledge at the moment. But if you look at this little picture and the writer who is struggling with the blank page, I think this happens to all of us, and it happens very often. We know what we want to say. And once you sit with the blank page and you want to start writing, you want to start putting it into words, it becomes quite difficult. And very often students are very unhappy with what they have written, even though very often it's good and a lot of it is actually already there. But sometimes we just need a little bit of somebody else's insight to tell us how to make something sound more logical or clearer and how to phrase it better. And how does it work? Like, what do we actually do in the Writing Center? Basically, we provide these three things. One of them is one-on-one sessions with the writing tutor. So it's you alone, you sit with the tutor and you talk about your assignment and the writing that you are doing. Then the second thing would be occasional workshops or seminars. We won't start with these until October. And there might be something that you see advertised, maybe there is a seminar on reflective writing and you need to do a reflective journal or something. So you may find it useful for you. It's just, a 1 hour seminar, or it could be on a different topic. And then the third thing we can help you with is the resources that we have on our website. So there is a number of videos and handouts that you can take a look at now. You know, we try to make them very practical. They're 1, 2, or 3 page handouts, how to structure an essay, how to structure different genres of academic writing, how to structure a paragraph, how to plan for your essay, and all these different things. So I'll just tell you a little bit about each one of these very briefly. So seminars or workshops, we usually advertise them on our website or on Facebook and Twitter, or we send direct email to students if we feel that a certain cohort of students would particularly benefit from certain workshops. I mean, there are many different kinds of workshops. You can see here, I just gave some examples: essay structure, descriptive versus analytical writing, then the one on referencing or academic phrasing. So different topics that we cover. And you may think that one of them or two of them may interest you, and you can come along. And we do these in person and online, always. And then also the resources, like I said, handouts and videos on our website. You can take a look at these, and you know, they help with independent learning at any time. But our main and our most popular service by far is one-on-one sessions with a tutor. I just said one-on-one, and here you can see 2 people sitting with a tutor. Sometimes, you know, these two students were working on the same assignment and they wanted to come together. Sometimes 3 or 4 students are working on the same assignment and they want to come together, which is fine. I mean, I would suggest that once you actually start writing, you're in the middle of your assignment, to come alone, because then the tutor can actually focus on your writing. We are there every day from the 23rd of September. So Monday to Friday, we will be available every day. These sessions are student-centered, obviously, because we answer your specific questions. Like, you guided a session, whatever you want us to work with, whether it's referencing that you have issues with, or you just want a little bit of introduction to academic writing, or you think your grammar is not great, you know, whatever it is. So we would address your writing issues. So yeah, from the 23rd, you will be able to book a place with a tutor online, or just drop in. If you are in campus and around the campus, I always suggest to students, just drop in and just see if a tutor is there, because sometimes you may go on the website and it says there is no availability, but we actually always take drop-ins as well. So if it's suitable, you can just drop into us. What we do during these one-on-one sessions, I mean, it varies. Sometimes students come to us, if you saw what Orla was showing you, these assignment instructions, you know, sometimes students would come with the instructions and say, I haven't started writing, but I'm not sure if I understand the question, what they're really looking for here. Or, you know, could you help me plan a little bit or outline a little bit? How would I get started with this assignment? Sometimes it's about the structure. This is the most frequent query. How to structure it? What should I put into my introduction? How long should my introduction be? How long are my paragraphs? How many paragraphs should I have in a 2000 assignment? You know, things like that. Or how to structure the paragraph specifically. Then building your argument, you know, there is something you want to argue, some claim that you are making in your assignment. So how do you develop it throughout this assignment? How do you make sure that you're writing analytically, you know, that you're not just describing what other people are saying, but that your voice is present there as well, that you are actually, you know, comparing and making conclusions and connections between your ideas. Some students ask us, you know, how can I edit this piece? Or, you know, I have problems with grammar. Some students say, I'm not sure about citing and referencing. Could you take a look at my referencing? Or sometimes students don't come until they get their first feedback from the lecturer back, and then maybe then they don't understand the feedback. You know, if the lecturer says, this is too descriptive, you should do more critical analysis. Sometimes they're not sure how really to do that, and so on. So basically, it's It's a vast array of questions that students come with. And if you're asking me, when should I come? It also depends. Some students like to come to us at the very beginning. Some students like to start writing and then come to us and show us maybe what they have written and ask, am I on the right track? Is this the standard that's expected? Some students like finishing the whole piece and then coming when they're editing, and so on. So whenever you feel you might need us, we will be there. I mean, usually when we ask students for feedback after these sessions, one of the best things they say is that their confidence went up after the session. And sometimes it's just after one session, they feel a little bit more confident about approaching their assignment now. And this is really what we are trying to do, to just so you feel you have a little bit more knowledge and a little bit more understanding of how somebody would actually look at your writing. Obviously, we can't help with some things. I mean, we can't help with the content because we wouldn't know anything about, specific subject that you're writing about. But that doesn't matter. And I think it helps that we don't really know your content sometimes, so that we can focus on your structure and we can focus on how you're phrasing things and how you're referencing things and so on. We will not be correcting the assignments or proofreading assignments. And by that, I mean, we are not going word by word and putting a text or saying, change this, nothing like that. We are looking at the assignment as a bigger picture a little bit, just trying to consult you of how to go about it. I mean, obviously, if that's your issue, if you say, I'm really worried about my phrasing, could you proofread? We might look at a paragraph with you or 2 paragraphs, and we might look at them very closely for the phrasing issues, and then ask you to do the rest yourself. Helping with English as a foreign language, I mean, obviously we are not trained English teachers, so sometimes tutors feel they don't even know how to call some, grammatical issues. But obviously, again, we can take a paragraph or 2. We can see if we notice any issues with English specifically. And in my experience, students who are very worried about their English is actually much better than they think. And when they write, they're very careful about their English. And as long as, you're writing, your issues with English are not making the understanding difficult, it's actually going to be fine. But again, we can work with that. The writing tutors who work in the writing center, so there is 12 writing tutors. They're postdoctoral students or doctoral students at the moment. They come from different disciplines, but most importantly, they experienced at tutoring and grading. They're experienced at assessing students' work, and some of them work for different journals and magazines, they have edited stuff. They also have a special interest and a special enthusiasm in academic writing, which I think helps because, they see you as fellow writers. They really want to work with you on your writing. They're approachable, non-judgmental, because, they're not grading your work. They're just a fellow writer who is trying to make the writing better and clearer. And finally, we are located in the James Joyce Library. This is our space. It's a glass space. So even if we are very busy, if you're around, you can take a look in and see who is free and come in. I hope it's a welcoming space, because we want it to be a very welcoming space. And we want the students to just drop in. And really all other information is on our website. You can follow us on Facebook or Twitter. We post some, instructions, some advice about writing, some links to different writing websites. And there is an email at the bottom of this, writing.center@ucd.ie. So I monitor this email address. And if you come up with a question, something you thought of a bit later and you wanted to ask me, I'd be very, very happy to reply. So don't feel shy, just email me with any questions. And I hope this is clear enough. I'm just stopping sharing. If anybody has any questions now as well, I'm very happy to answer.
Also for our advanced nurse practitioner students and our chronic illness students, the whole focus really allows you to develop skills for practice. So this is a sort of a very quick overview. Essentially, it's a blended learning. There's a lot of autonomous learning, and we have the module completely set up in the module overview document in Brightspace. I know there are 83 students already registered, so hopefully you're able to see and access Brightspace. All the material is in Brightspace. So a little bit like Deirdre was just saying, we have pre-required work each week, and it really is necessary to engage with the module material online at home in the comfort of your own home prior to each Monday. Attendance is really encouraged. I really can't reiterate enough how valuable it is to log into our Zoom teaching sessions, because really we deconstruct the learning and think about all our systems assessment. So as I said to you, the core textbook is Bates. The whole acquisition of skills learning must be complemented by your own practice. Essentially, practice is essential. I'm double using essential, but really essential for learning. So that whole self-directed and adult learning approach is very much part of this module. So Orla spoke to you earlier about Brightspace, and our module is in Brightspace, as you can see there. We use the ask a question a lot in this module, and I'm more than happy to ask you and to encourage you to use the ask a question. And always a number of students log in to ask the question with me, and we answer each other, and we can formulate discussions there, any issues that we need to follow up on there. So it's all very clearly outlined in the same format as Orla spoke to you earlier on. So in Brightspace, we've got a module overview document, and that's a full outline of the required learning. I will be going through all of that next Monday in our online tutorial from 11 to 1 next Monday, and the login Zoom will be on your calendar, and it will be in Brightspace. So obviously I've got 83 students registered already. So once you're registered, you will be able to log in. So next Monday, we're going to think about skin and musculoskeletal assessment. We're going to have a lecture on comprehensive health history. And I'm going to go over them with you, how our module is outlined and how we operate within the clinical lab practice sessions. Now, I really should have added in there, because we have a very large class, we have separated the clinical lab learning. So on a Monday, we have our Master's Advanced Practice Nursing, Advanced Practice Midwifery, and our chronic illness students in the labs with us for practice. And then on Thursday mornings, so on Thursday the 19th, week 2, we have our primary care students in with us from 10 until 12 in the lab practice. But please come back to me if you have any queries about this. And our primary care group will know that Regina Lennon, my colleague, is their program director. I think they have other classes then on Thursday the 19th, so they will be able to join that. So for our in-person days in our clinical labs, we will be allocating you to groups within our labs. So for next week, if you have a chance and if you've got the textbook already, I'd like you, if you can, just engage with the whole idea of the general survey, vital signs, skin, hair and nails, and musculoskeletal assessment. We will be going over all of this, obviously, next Monday in class, and just clarifying all of that for you. So Orla, as I said to you, our technology manager, works very closely with me on the module in Brightspace. I'm very fortunate. We've got a very big teaching team with us on this module. So our faculty colleagues, and also we've got adjunct lecturers and nurse practitioners, registered nurse practitioners from our clinical practice partner sites come in and teach with us on this module. So in many ways, we have the value of nurse practitioners coming in who are working in practice and who are very, very familiar. They're all graduates of this module and of our advanced practice program, and really will be able to support you in learning the skills and thinking about a full head to toe physical assessment, and also think about how we take histories and how we analyze symptoms. So this is just a very brief overview, as I've said. So I want you to make sure that your module registration is okay. If you have any questions or any concerns at all, please just email me this week, or you can use the Ask a Question either, but feel free to email me directly. My email is on the previous slide, rita.smith@ucd.ie. I want to really remind you, and I think Orla mentioned this earlier about your UCD Connect email. It is a crucial component of this term. So essentially, all communication is via Brightspace. So you need to have your Connect up and running and to access all that material. So I think, sorry, that's my last slide. I'll stop the share. So if you have any questions, please just type them into the Q&A box, and I'm very happy I'll follow through on anything you need. Or if you have any further questions, please just email me later and I'll get back to you. Okay, I'll just stop the share. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome. I'm assuming you can all see my slides. My name is Bryn Gilmore, and I am your module coordinator. I work alongside Associate Professor Dr. Aoife de Bruin, so you'll be seeing both of us in and out, and both of us have lectures and answer Brightspace and everything like that. But I am your official named coordinator, so anything admin or academically, please do email me, as I'm better able to manage it behind on our system. So you will be seeing myself, Bryn, and Aoife throughout the module. You'll be getting communication from both of us. And Aoife wishes you a great start to the term and is also welcoming you within this presentation. So if you look at your module descriptor, all of this is there and it'll see what you're going to learn. Basically, the objective of this module is to introduce you to the concept of evidence-based practice and really to help you appreciate the importance of research and evidence-based practice within nursing midwifery. We then go through formulating research questions, identifying research problems, and starting to develop a research protocol to kind of walk you through how you would go about answering research questions or solving research problems. We also introduce you to critical appraisal. So how can you read, interpret, appraise existing research studies and apply them to your own practice, and really understanding what is a good research study. So these are some of the key learning objectives you will learn. And how you're going to learn these is through exclusively online lectures. We used to meet in person, but we have a really big class. It's sometimes up to 300 students now. I think there's going to be about 200 of you this term. So we just find that the exclusive online lectures does work a lot better. So we have 4 live classrooms and the dates are written here. I'll show you also where they are so you don't have to frantically write them down. But so from 2 to 5 p.m., we have 4 online classrooms, and we also have additional drop-in sessions that Aoife and I host, kind of like drop-in tutorials that we structure around the assessment as well to really give you that additional support. And so everything else will be online. We do pre-recordings around 6 research topics. So the first topic is evidence-based practice, and within that we have 3 mini lessons. And each of those comes with a video, a PowerPoint. So you can watch 3 different videos within evidence-based practice. In topic 2, research paradigms and epistemology, we have 2 videos. And then we have formulating research questions, research design, critical appraisal, and ethics and public involvement and knowledge translation. You also have activities at the end of each topic that you can do to really help understand your learning, see if you have understood everything that's coming in the videos. Our peer-to-peer kind of online live classrooms discussions really do focus around the topic. So your first one, we'll talk a lot about topic 1 and topic 2. And we also have a worksheet that guides you through the whole course. And all of this leads to help developing your assessment. So you have two assessment components. The first is a midterm one that's worth 5%. The second is the end of term, which is 95%. The end of term assignment is a protocol, a research protocol. So throughout the course, we have you work on identifying a research problem, developing a research question, and then designing a research study to best answer that research question. That is what you will be giving us in your final assignment, as well as about a 1,500 word discussion piece that we ask you to write. Your peer midterm assessment is a draft of that protocol. And you submit that to a system called Peer Scholar linked with Brightspace. And then you assess anonymously 4 of your peers' submitted drafts. And that's how you get that 5%. So it's a way that you can get feedback on your protocol early. And it's also a way that you're learning your critical appraisal skills. I'm just going to show you Brightspace really quickly. So you see everything is set up. This is your Brightspace. So if you go on the calendar, you can see all of the information, including when assignments are due, live classrooms are due, are listed here. Under your learning, this is how we have it set up. So we have a lot of things released already. We have your welcome, which again tells you about the dates and the times, and then key information. So we have introduction slides ready to go that you can read and look. We have information on plagiarism and proper reference and using Brightspace. We also have, I've just released this as an example, but I'll release this officially on Wednesday. This is what each topic would look like. So there's lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and each lesson comes with a PowerPoint or a pre-recorded video. And then there is an activity at the end. We also have our discussion board that we ask you to use. This is a really big class, so it's really hard for Aoife and I to respond to personal emails unless they are of a personal or sensitive nature. So we do ask that any content, any questions about that the whole class should kind of be privy to, if it's about assignments, discussions, content in the lectures, we do ask that those are asked on the discussion board. So we really look forward to seeing you online. We're going to release content officially on Wednesday, and we look forward to seeing you on the 16th for your first live classroom. I'll stick around and answer any Q&A questions now. So thank you very much.
Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. My name is Trish Fox. I'm the Programme Director of the Postgraduate Diploma in Cancer Nursing, and I'm going to give you a brief overview of the Clinical Competency Assessment Tool, or the CCAT, as I will be referring to it from here on. First, I would like to join my colleagues in welcoming all of you to UCD, and welcome back to those of you who are on the part-time postgraduate programmes, and to those of you who have studied in UCD previously. I'm presenting this on behalf of my colleagues, Mary Jane Murphy, Director of Taught Graduate Clinical Studies, Dr. Anne Donoghue, Associate Dean of Taught Graduate Studies, and the Programme Directors of all the Taught Graduate Clinical Programmes. Just one thing I want to say at the outset is that this presentation is for those of you who have a clinical practicum module on your programme. If you do not have a clinical practicum module on your programme, then you do not have to listen to this presentation. The other thing to note is that there is construction going on close by to the Health Sciences building where I am based, so apologies if there is background noise. So in this presentation, I'm going to give a brief overview of the CCAT. I will describe the aim of this assessment tool. I will briefly discuss the clinical competency assessors and the domains of competence. However, I'm going to spend most of the time focusing on the presentation, i.e. discussing the learning needs component and the process for completion of the CCAT, including the timelines for completion. Because this is a recording, and I know that you've been listening to presentations all morning, I'm not going to go into any detail about the domains of competence. Hopefully you are all familiar with the domains already. If you are not so familiar with the domains, please review the detailed descriptions in the CCAT, and please go through the document thoroughly in your own time so that you are familiar with all the requirements. Just to note that at this point, you will have 3 meetings with your assessor across the academic year, where you will be assessed across all 6 domains of competence. So this is the document we're talking about. I know some of you will receive clinical learning outcomes as well. So just to be clear that this is the assessment document that this presentation is focusing on. It is an official examination document, so please do ensure that you fill in your details at the outset, just in case it gets lost, as has happened in the past. And there have been occasions where at the end of the year, the CCAT has been submitted with no name or contact details on it. So if you have already partially completed it and had some of your meetings with your assessor and you lose it and your details were not filled in and it has never, has not been found, you will have to start again. And obviously that's going to cause more stress and inconvenience to you and your assessor in the long run. So the aim of the CCAT is to facilitate the assessment process and to enable you as a student to demonstrate your knowledge, skills and understanding of specialist theory and practice. It is one of the assessment strategies on the clinical practical modules which have a pass-fail outcome. You will also be required to complete additional program-specific clinical and theoretical assessments, including a quality and patient safety assessment component, and also clinical learning outcomes for some programs. And your program directors will go through those in detail with you once you commence the program. As you will see, I have underlined specialist there because when you look at some of the domains and some of the subdomains, you might quite understandably say, of course, I'm competent across these areas. But oftentimes when we move to a new specialist area, we might be tested in relation to some of these domains, particularly around communication, particularly if you're focusing on refining new skills that require our full concentration. So just remember that it is in relation to the specialist aspect that we're focusing on in these domains. So, when you look at the indicators in particular, please just consider all of the new areas and points of learning, and this will come through, during lectures and presentations on your program. So to just bear that in mind. Just very briefly regarding your assessors, we would like to say a big thank you to them. We appreciate that they are very busy and they are taking on this role. So we would really like to express our appreciation for this. Some of your assessors have undertaken these assessments for many years, so they are familiar with the CCAT. This year, again, our colleague Mary J. Murphy, Director of Taught Graduate Clinical Studies, has worked to simplify the layout with a view to making the assessment tool clearer and avoiding potential for repetition. So it might look a little different in some sections, but please reassure your assessors that there have been no major changes to the content. The Assessors Workshop is on Wednesday, September 25th, and it will be run by our colleague Mary J. And your assessors will be able to meet with your program directors on the day, unless they have other teaching commitments at the time. Your assessors will receive an invite and a link to this workshop. If they have not received the invitation and link to the workshop, can you please advise your program director so that this can be addressed? What is important to say here is that it is preferable that the same assessor undertakes all 3 assessments with you. Having said that, we know that it's not always possible if, for example, your assessor moves to a different area or goes out on maternity leave. If that does happen, please inform the programme director as soon as possible with the details of your new assessor, and you will need to complete and upload a new clinical competency assessor form as you had done for your original assessor when you applied for the programme. Also, it is preferable that you and your assessor have similar rosters as much as possible, because as you will appreciate from assessing undergraduate students, that really is the only way that the assessors will be able to determine your level of competency across the different domains. By witnessing your skills in undertaking new procedures in the specialty area or effectively demonstrating your clinical decision-making skills, your assessor will be in a better position to determine how well your level of competency across the different domains is developing. So in terms of the domains of competence, as I said, hopefully you are all very familiar with them. If not, please go to page 4 to 5 in the CCAT and read the descriptions in detail. So we're talking about the professional values and conduct of the nurse competences, nursing practice and clinical decision-making competences, knowledge and cognitive competences, communication and interpersonal competences, management and team competences, and leadership potential and professional scholarship competences. And we acknowledge that some of you may already are working in leadership roles already. But again, if you look at the individual indicators under each of the subdomains, hopefully that you will be able to find areas that are in need of further development. Again, as you go through your programme and listen to all of the lecture content. So for the next few slides, the focus is on the preparation and completion of the CCAT. So you will need to identify learning needs appropriate to each domain prior to each meeting, and you will do that on the pages listed here. So when you meet with your assessor, you should have identified at least 2 to 3 learning needs in the relevant section for each domain for the upcoming meeting. So aim to identify at least 3 learning needs. What you need to do prior to identify your learning needs is review each of the domains, subdomains, and indicators and consider how they apply to your current role and your patient population. And I've provided some examples in the following slides. However, while some of these may be applicable to all, it is going to be a little different for each of you, depending on how long you've worked in the specialty area, how varied your experience has been, and what your patient population looks like. So at this juncture, it is essential that you take a little time to reflect on what you feel you need to learn for your specialty area. But what is very important is that you discuss this with your assessor before you write in your final learning needs in pen. So it would be a good idea to write them out in pencil first, discuss with your assessor, and your assessor may agree with many of the learning needs you've identified, but may also help you to prioritise your learning needs and suggest some new ones. What is very important also is that you aim to be as specific as possible in relation to those learning needs. So rather than writing down vague, very vague or general statements, please be clear in relation to stating what it is you feel you need to learn. You may identify a procedure that you need to become competent in, or a protocol you need to become familiar with. Many of you are probably already familiar with the SMART acronym for identifying goals, so that they are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. And so this should be helpful when you're trying to articulate your learning needs also. One of your learning needs for your first meeting could be that by the next meeting, i.e. the second meeting, I need to gain a greater understanding of the psychosocial challenges my patients and or their carers experience, and the supports that are available to them within the hospital or community. And to do that, I will need to spend time with the medical social worker and the psychologist or the psycho-oncologist. So in there, you can see that it is clear and specific. It is measurable. You do it or you don't do it, in terms of the spending time on placement. It should be attainable on your placement. It is very relevant in the context of person-centered care, and it's time-bound because you're aiming to have it completed by your next meeting. So what is also important here is that your learning, clinical learning outcomes, where they are required on your programme, should be reviewed prior to identifying your learning needs for guidance, as they will clearly identify what you need to be competent in. If you do not have clinical learning outcomes, you can discuss with your assessor what other clinical documentation you need to complete. So discuss this with your programme director and your assessor. You might wonder if you need to identify learning needs prior to the third and final meeting. And yes is the answer to that, given that we're all supposed to engage in lifelong learning. So please include them here, even though the completion of those learning needs will not be followed up subsequently by the UCD programme director, as you will have completed the programme at that stage. So this is what the section for the learning needs looks like. This is for the first domain, professional values and conduct of the nurse competences. And as you can see here, there's a row for each of the meetings where you identify your learning needs and your assessor can then comment on them. I have cut out the assessor's comment section, which is underneath each of these sections here, just so I can illustrate the timelines for each meeting. So for the first meeting, your assessor may just state that they agree with the learning needs that you have identified, and they will arrange or help you to arrange that you shadow the medical social worker or psychologist, just going back to our earlier example. I will talk about the submission dates a little later, but as you can see here, I have put in October for completion of the first meeting, January, February for the second one, and April, May for the third one. But again, these timelines might be slightly different depending on your programme, so please discuss those dates for completion with your programme director. So now just moving on to looking at each of the 6 domains of competence. I am just going to provide some examples of what you might want to consider for each domain, having reviewed the subdomains and the indicators for each. So for the professional values and conduct of the professional values and conduct of the nurse competences, we can see what the subdomains are focusing on. And within that, we can see the need to adhere to legislation and policy and protocols. So examples of learning needs might be, I need to update myself on the data protection policy, GDPR, dignity and respect policy, new protocol for the management of X procedure, and noting how you plan to go about it. You could also note the need to update myself on the NMBI standards and guidance, working with older people, legislation, and the guidance for registered nurses and midwives on medication administration, again, focusing on my specialty area. We would like just to highlight the necessity to articulate your learning needs as opposed to what you already do well or are competent in. Unfortunately, sometimes we will see statements like, I adhere to the infection control policy. So we can see that that is a statement about a policy that a nurse is successfully following. So therefore, it's not a learning need. So please do take time to reflect on what you need to learn within your specialty area and consider how they map to each of the domains and subdomains, and think about how best to articulate that. As you can see here, I have highlighted the learning need piece of it. So it's not that I'm saying I adhere to this, or I am familiar with this. It's I need to, because it is a learning need, as I said. So moving on to nursing practice and clinical decision making. So the subdomains there: assess the person's nursing and health needs, plan and prioritize person-centered nursing care, utilize clinical judgment. So examples of learning needs there: I need to refine further my assessment skills of patients admitted with X complication, to become competent in identifying patients at high risk of whatever the presentation is, based on their diagnosis, age, and comorbidities. So again, we're talking about, skills in clinical decision making and critical thinking coming in there, which hopefully will be a lot easier as you move along through your program and you get the necessary, you review the necessary content and the lectures. And to be able to effectively assess and manage patients who've undergone X procedure or surgery, respecting patients' preferences throughout. So knowledge and cognitive competences, subdomains: practice from a competent knowledge base, use critical thinking and reflection to inform practice. Examples of learning needs there might be: I need to develop my critical thinking skills further in the context of caring for patients presenting with certain symptoms, i.e. consider other possible conditions, complications, so your differential diagnosis, side effects of prescribed and non-prescribed drugs, and it needs to be evidence-based. And I need to reflect on and consider my own learning needs in relation to undertaking X procedure. So again, mapping them to the particular indicators under the subdomains of each domain. Communication and interpersonal competences. So the subdomains being to communicate effectively with the healthcare team, communicate in a person-centered manner, and examples of learning needs there being: I need to improve communication with the multidisciplinary team, engage more with consultants, with the patient, engage more with the patients and carers in terms of the communication, and observe senior staff members discuss prognosis, breaking bad news, for example. I need to improve my communication with the primary care team, with the GP, with the public health nurse. I need to develop strategies to overcome barriers to communication, sensory, psychosocial, language, cultural, and literacy. And we know that this is a big area, and obviously with our newer populations, where English isn't their first language, but also in relation to members of our own population who not only have challenges in the area of health literacy, but with literacy, full stop. So you may wish to, again, identify similar learning needs, but better to identify learning needs that apply to you and to your area. Management and team competences, subdomains: manage team, others, and self safely. Practice collaboratively, and examples of your learning needs there: I need to take charge of the unit, and specifically agree dates with the CNM in relation to that, because again, that is having it time bound and specific. So it might not happen, and that's okay. But at least by putting it down, you are making it very clear. And if it doesn't happen on this particular occasion, for your next meeting. I need to share my learning from researching whatever the area you needed to research for your assignment, to share my learning with my work colleagues and undergraduate nursing students. I need to become more familiar with supports for patients within and outside the hospital, within the community. And on placement, I need to spend more time with the medical social worker, the dietitian, physiotherapist, psycho-oncologist, in order to gain a better understanding of their role so that the referrals I make are appropriate. Finally then, the leadership, professional scholarship competences. The subdomains here to develop professional scholarship, develop leadership potential. As I said, many of you will already be working in those roles. So examples of learning needs there, I need to prioritize time for self-directed learning and make critical questioning a habit. And that is going to be key because we're using blended learning more now. Obviously, there's only so much time you can be online and listen to lectures on Zoom, and it is more anyway about you and all of us becoming more self-directed in our learning and undertaking the actual practical aspects of learning ourselves. I need to continue to reflect on and learn from critical incidents experience, and we know how important reflection is for our learning, so that we can learn from each instance or experience and take it forward to improve our practice in the future. I need to become more involved in clinical audits on my unit. For example, I will contribute to the planned audit on whatever it is that's on the ongoing already. So these are the achievement levels on page 6. Again, many of you will be familiar with these, but just to note, this is where your assessor will be using the initials from each of these in determining your level of achievement. And oftentimes, sometimes we will see people, coming in, who might be all E's, but for each of the indicators, we would not be expecting that to be at that level of P or E, given that there's so much that you need to learn on the program, and we can see that through assessments that people are developing their learning. So we just want to, if your level is a C or an AB, that oftentimes will be very appropriate, as it would be for all of us when we're new to a certain area and we're new to learning about in certain components. The most important thing is that you need to be at the level of competent by the 3rd and final meeting. So in terms of recording the level of achievement, this is the correct way to do it. So this is for, just to be careful when your assessor is signing this off, and obviously we'll go through this as well with your assessors, but it can be easy to check off these little boxes 2 and 3 for meetings 2 and 3 when, at the first meeting. We're all tired sometimes, so it's very easy for it to happen. So you might just want to put a little sticky note over that, help your assessor, especially if it's at the end of a long day. So for each of these subdomains and each of the indicators, there needs to be, a level of competency identified here for each of the indicators. Okay, so that just needs to be completed for all of them. If it's not entered for all of them, unfortunately, we will have to send it back. So this is the correct way of completing the level of achievement. This is not the correct way. Excuse me. Particularly the bottom actually half of it is fine, as you can see, because that's the same as the previous page. But here is incorrect. So if there's a little check off, if it's A, B to C, because there we don't know if it's A, B or is it C and X. And over the years, you know, we've gotten many different varieties of this. So this is just why I'm making a point of it at the moment. It needs to be as below. So this slide is identifying the assessor feedback, feed forward section for domain 1, and this is completed for all the domains at each meeting. In this section, your assessor can elaborate on your learning needs as identified for each domain and note how you are progressing with respect to each of the domains. This is particularly important for the subsequent meetings, so for meeting 2 and meeting 3. It would be important to comment on whether or not your learning needs from the previous meeting have been met. Now, it may be, as I said before, that for whatever reason you haven't been able to accomplish some of the learning needs, and that's okay. We understand, obviously, that things can happen and procedures might be cancelled or whatever. So that they can be brought forward for the next meeting. But it is certainly very helpful and informative for us as programme directors to see this follow through, where your assessor indicates that yes, you have met this learning need, and you know, sometimes how you've accomplished it. So for successful completion of the programme, as I mentioned, although you may attain higher levels of achievement, all students should be deemed at least competent in all indicators of all subdomains of all the domains by the 3rd and final assessment at the end of your programme. The level of achievement, so either N for novice, A, B for advanced beginner, C for competent, P for proficient, or E for expert, must be individually recorded for all indicators and not these symbols here. You must achieve the clinical learning outcomes where required and have them signed off by senior colleagues. So it's your assessor that needs to complete this CCAT consistently. But if you have clinical learning outcomes on your modules, some of you have, they can, certainly with my own programme, they can be signed by senior colleagues. So again, just check that with your programme director. What is very important is that your learning needs, when your learning needs are identified, that they're very legible and clear and completed in pen. So try to have them printed in, because sometimes it is very difficult for us to read the writing, to be quite honest. And sometimes we might need to ask you to go back and redo it or explain again. So to again avoid all that hassle for yourselves and the stress involved, please write in very, very clearly and sign very, very clearly as well. Sometimes we'll see little scribbles, I have to say, and it's not clear what the signature is. And that again, just even for your handovers, and God forbid if there's ever a court case, you know, about an issue, your signature should be very clear and legible on the documentation. So just with regard to submitting the CCAT assessments, you'll need to submit a scanned copy of each fully completed assessment online, including your learning needs that you've identified and the assessment pages for each domain. So that would be where you've been checked off as either N or AB or C, etc. The clinical practicum modules folder we'll have a folder set up entitled CCAT submission information with links for the 3 submissions. So after each meeting, you will need to upload the relevant pages for the meeting to that folder through those links. You're required to photograph or scan the completed pages of the CCAT document and collate the photos or scanned pages in sequential order, so domains 1 to 6, as one single PDF. So again, not 20 little photos uploaded. It needs to be uploaded in this way, and try to have them, you know, in an order where it's easy for us to just read through, because that way we can, you know, get back to you as soon as possible and give you feedback on it. Your program directors will advise on the submission dates. Even though we're talking about scanned copies here, you will need to obviously retain a hard copy of the CCAT, and you can talk to your program director whether or not they want to see that at the end of the program. But for the most part, we're going with having them scanned in through Brightspace. So there is a supportive action plan. At any stage in the assessment process, a supportive action plan can be formulated using the proforma provided at the end of the document to assist you to attain the desired level of competence prior to the next assessment. And this might be required in some instances where perhaps a student just has not had the opportunity to be exposed to the necessary skills or learning opportunities that are required for completion of the programme. And an action plan will normally be formulated within 3 weeks in the event of a student not having reached the required standard of competence. But again, if we get a really good engagement from yourselves in clearly identifying your learning needs, and from your assessors in giving us feedback in terms of where you are and what the areas are that you are progressing well in, and where you need to develop more skills in, where you need the learning opportunities. The more feedback we get throughout the programme, the less likely it will be that we will need to have a supportive action plan, because again, as you know, good communication is essential in order for us to be effective in relation to this. If after the supportive action plan there are still issues, so there's a protocol for students who are unsuccessful in achieving competence at the final meeting. So if a student has not attained the required level of competence by formal assessment 3, it will be submitted as a fail mark in the clinical practicum module to the exam board. And excuse me, you will need to complete a resit assessment using a new copy of the CCAT, and a supportive action plan will be initiated under the direction of the program director and in collaboration with your assessor. The timeline for the resit assessment will be a 1 trimester clinical placement in the trimester following the original offering. So just some important final points. It is your responsibility to approach the assessor to discuss the arrangements for the 3 assessments. They've already completed the programme, so you know, it is up to us always as the student who is, you know, going to get the award and reward at the end of the programme, to take responsibility obviously for making these arrangements. So as sometimes we do hear from assessors that they have not heard from the student, they haven't been approached, you know, when we would at that point expect that there would be a date in the diary. So you should aim within the first couple of weeks of commencing the programme to make that arrangement with your assessor. Sorry, I'm going to have to take a drink of water here. Excuse me. So normally the first assessment, we would say around October. I would say actually try to aim for early October. Second assessment in January, and the third assessment before the end of the programme in April, May. It's time for me to stop talking. Please discuss all of these with your programme director. Plan meetings earlier rather than later in anticipation of unexpected issues that may arise. Both myself and your programme directors have been doing this for many years, and we've seen so many different things happen over the years. We were snowed in one year. There was an ash cloud affecting flights of people coming back from conferences. Another year, We always have the norovirus, we have the flu, we have the, obviously, don't mention COVID. So all of those things that can happen and impact on either you or your family, your assessor or their family. So please, please, please pin down those dates early, go for the earliest dates possible within those months. And if then they need to be rescheduled, it's not going to be, you know, such a major big deal. But if, say, for example, with the first assessment, that's pushed into December, which has happened, you know, that means we could then have to be saying, no, you need to have this done, you know, before Christmas, and sending emails, and nobody wants that. You don't want it, your assessor doesn't want it, and we don't want it, because, you know, at that stage we should not have to be worrying about that with all of the other things that people are busy with professionally and personally. So please do plan ahead. Just in terms of contact, yourselves as students and or your assessors may contact the relevant program director in UCD at any time if clarification is required. And again, as I said, it's better to identify and address problems and discuss issues early in the process rather than, you know, them being left to the end and you know, problems arising as a result of that. So with all of that, I hope that was helpful. Enjoy your program in the coming year. I know there'll be lots of hard work, but hopefully you will really find it rewarding as well. And I'm sure I will see many of you around perhaps over the course of you've been in your in-person days. So thank you for listening.